Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Many thanks for joining your favorite program on TV, the Corporate Governance Platform. The program is proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals, and is coming to you live from MITV in Lagos. I am your regular host, Tunde Odeyemi, and in the next couple of minutes, we are going to be discussing best practices on board evaluation. And to lead in that discussion is a very erudite scholar, a practitioner and a professional in the field of corporate governance, and of course, our distinguished fellow of ICSAN, Mr. David OLATUNJI. Mr. David OLATUNJI is an extraordinary trainer, teacher, speaker, and a corporate governance expert. He has communicated his thoughts to corporate leaders across industries and private sectors of the economy. He is well known for his practical, insightful, real-world perspectives on learning. His experience in education and knowledge impartation has spanned over 2 decades in the banking, manufacturing, insurance, educational, communications, media, and the imaging sectors of the economy. He was a council member of ICSAN between 1997 and 2004, and he authors the Corporate Governance Study Textbook for the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. He is the CEO of David OLATUNJI Leadership Academy, DOLA, a leading hub for incubating leaders in good governance and authentic leadership, and he is involved in international financial reporting standards, IFRC training, and consulting. Mr. OLATUNJI, we are very much delighted to have you on Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you very much. It's always my delight to be here.
Okay, we are going to discuss a very important topic today: best practices on board evaluation. You know, every board is expected to have board evaluation.
Yeah.
Now, we would like to kick off this conversation by knowing what exactly is board evaluation and what is the purpose of board evaluation.
Well, thank you very much, Tunde. You see, when you're talking about board, you are talking about the individuals that have been duly appointed to be on the board of an organization to manage, to direct the affairs, according to section 269 of CAMA.
Okay.
So these individuals are brought in by the shareholders, by the investors, to look after their investments. And of course, there are expectations from the shareholders. There are rules, there are responsibilities, there are duties that these directors need to perform. They need to be effective. If the reason why they are brought on the board will not be jeopardized. And for that effectiveness to be examined, therefore, there must be an assessment, a periodic assessment.
Okay.
So board evaluation actually refers to the periodic assessment that we subject board of directors to in order to determine how effective they are in the performance of their duties to the company and in the performance of their duties, to stakeholders generally. So board evaluation is like the determination, of the significance of the board,
Okay.
the merit of the board, the worth of the board, using criteria that are governed by set standards. So board evaluation could be said to be a window into the boardroom. What is happening behind the scene? What is happening on the table? To look at how board deliberations are done, to look at the decision-making process of the board, to find out how committed are the board members, to their roles, to their responsibilities, especially the governor's responsibilities of the board at this time.
Wow, a window into the boardroom. That is fantastic. At this point, I would like to extend invitations to our viewers to be part of today's program. We are discussing best practices on board evaluation, and you just heard the meaning and the reasons why we should have board evaluation in different organizations. Now, to be part of the program, you can either ask questions or make comments by sending text message to 080-2323-1287. I take that again. Send your text message either to make comments or to ask questions to 080-2323-1287. You have the number on the screen of your television set. Now, having understood what board evaluation is all about, then what then is the nexus between board evaluation and good corporate governance?
Well, for this context, I take good corporate governance to be how the interests of all stakeholders within an organization is closely aligned, as closely as possible. The way that the 9 stakeholder group interests, the interests of all the stakeholder groups that make up an organization, they have different interests but conflicting interests. How do we align it? How do we bring it, into closeness? And if that is corporate governance definition for this evening, then shareholders are part of the stakeholders.
Sure.
And they have brought the board of directors and other stakeholders onto the board to look after their company, to look after their investments for them. Right. So if the board will be accountable to the shareholders who bring them in, then they must be examined, they must be evaluated, they must be reviewed, their performance must be reviewed. So the nexus or the connection between good corporate governance and board evaluation is that regulators and other stakeholders have confidence in the board whose performance is periodically examined, because it's going to throw up a lot of things that will make the organization sustainably go into the future. So in other words, when you evaluate the board of directors, it makes the board accountable.
Okay.
And it reduces agency problems. It reduces agency conflicts. It reduces agency costs. Because of this separation of ownership and management, throws up agency problems between, the shareholders and the board of directors. So when the board is evaluated, that agency problem is reduced. The agency cost is also reduced. Then the pensions for the board of directors to be unethical also reduces, because it brings an alertness, to the board of directors that, listen, in the next 6 months you're going to be subject to examination, you're going to be subject to evaluation, so you better put up, your house in order. You understand? So it contributes to good governance, because every member of the board is aware that they need to put their house in order before the evaluation takes place.
Okay, in essence, board evaluation enhances good corporate governance.
Board evaluation enhances it, promotes it, it reinforces it,
okay.
It establishes it. You understand? And there is no way that stakeholders will not be drawn to an organization that periodically examines or evaluates the members of their board.
Okay, let's look at this. On the board, we have different positions. We have the chairman, we have the non-executive directors, independent, and the rest. Who are those to be evaluated, and how should the evaluation be carried out?
Well, the Financial Reporting Council Code 2018,
Okay.
Part 14, actually says that the chairman of the board should be evaluated, the chairman of committees of the board should be evaluated, individual board members should be evaluated, and the chairman of board committees, and the members of the board committees also should be evaluated. And there are various strategies or various ways by which you can do this. Number one could be bespoke questionnaire. You could actually design a questionnaire, for the board members, to fill, or you could actually also engage them in one-on-one, conversation. You can have group discussions. You can also have what we call participant of observation. You can actually, observe them at board meetings. You can observe them at committee meetings. You can observe them at special ad hoc committee meetings. And when you are there, you will see firsthand how they contribute to board deliberations, how effective they are, and how they make their contributions known to the chairman and to other board members. So the board members also will be like a watchdog over their fellow individual directors on the board. So that's the way you can do it. And it must be done periodically, as I mentioned. And the code also says that externally it should be facilitated at least every three years.
Okay, I will get to that aspect of the code. Yeah. But before then, somebody sent in a question. Part of those questions you have actually answered, but let me read it out. It said, what are the agency problems? Because you mentioned agency the other time. Now asked, how often should board evaluation be done yearly?
Yeah.
Two questions in one.
Okay.
The first one is what are agency problems?
Yeah.
And the second aspect, which you have actually mentioned, the answer a bit of it is, how often should board evaluation be done yearly?
Well, so the first one, agency problem occurs when there's a conflict of interest between the owners of the company and the board of directors, the managers of the company, that are called agents. The shareholders are called principal. This is agents. So because the owners are not the one directly running their company, there is a conflict of interest. So conflict of interest is an agency problem, where the board of directors will carry out decisions that will go contrary to the intentions of the owners of the business. For instance, we have a situation whereby the board would not be satisfied with their remuneration, and because they are not satisfied with their remuneration, they now will begin not to perform the way they should perform. Do you understand? They are the diminishing quality of performance, or they now sound to be ethical. They now engage in what we call transaction theory problems through opportunism and bounded rationality. Do you understand? They now begin to fend for themselves. They begin to look for other means of income, and this is an agency problem, right? And now periodic, well, we have to follow the Financial Reporting Council code. It has to be done at least every three years. But I suggest that board evaluation should be done internally every year, at least once every year internally. Then after 3 years, then you invite an external evaluator to come in, like governance institute, like our institute. For instance, you can bring in our institute, ICSAN,
right?
Yes, to come and do the evaluation for you every three years.
Okay, let me also refer you to a particular portion of the board, of the code, the NCCG code, National Code of Corporate Governance 2018. And the board provides that the board should establish a system to undertake a formal and rigorous annual evaluation of its performance and that of its committees, the chairman and individual directors. The process should be externally facilitated by an independent external consultant. It's also mentioned here that at least 3 years. But my question now is that, why do you think the code requires external facilitation?
Yeah, because it will bring objectivity, it will bring transparency, it will bring independence, it will bring valuable insights, from the external view. You understand? Then the shareholders, especially, and the regulators, they seem to have more confidence, in external evaluators, because there is no familiarity threat. In other words, they seem to be independent from management views and management opinions. So they are expected to come in and bring their independence to, the whole process of evaluation. Then the whole process of evaluation also has what we call integrity. So to protect that integrity, to protect the honesty of the evaluation process, you need an external person to come in. And I'm sure you know that board of directors could be somehow, they could feel reluctant responding to internal evaluators, knowing fully well that they form the leadership of the company, and the internal auditor, for instance, or the finance manager or whatever, will now come to begin to evaluate them. They are likely to rebuff that, but they are likely to respond to external evaluator than internal evaluator, although both have their advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, let's look at small and medium enterprise. This is required of, let me say, large companies, but small and medium enterprise that board evaluation is not required of them.
Yeah.
If they decide to do it, what are the benefits that are accruable to them?
Well, it's always a mistake for SMEs, for instance, to think that the Financial Reporting Council Code or CAMA is more stringent, on public companies or larger companies, because they will be missing on opportunities that come with good governance. Right? When you evaluate your board, you are telling stakeholders that you are honest, you are transparent, they can see through your board deliberations, they can see through your board decision-making process, and so there is the likelihood of attracting investors. Do you understand? And once stakeholders just see, especially investors, when they see a modicum of integrity in the way you run your company, then the cost of capital will begin to reduce. You have capital that you are not paying much for because people want to invest in your company. Then you also attract an array of talents as stakeholders. You see, very intelligent people want to go to an organization where good governance is established, and board evaluation is one of the elements of good governance in any company, because what you're telling the public is that look at us very well. We are transparent, we are honest, we are open. See through is like a see-through glass. Come and see through what we do here. So it attracts a lot of stakeholders and it attracts a lot of benefits. In the Western world, why organizations are tending towards socially responsible investment is because the stakeholders now are very concerned about what goes on in every organization. So whether you are SME or you are not SME, and don't forget also that SMEs one day will want to also transit to larger companies or to PLC. You cannot come into the arena of PLC without putting good corporate governance in place. Right.
So it's always better to start early.
It's better to start
now,
early.
In evaluating the non-executive directors, I'm going to ask two questions in one. Yeah. In evaluating the non-executive directors, what are the factors that should be considered? And after evaluation, how should a company put the results of the evaluation to use?
Okay, thank you. The non-executive directors are those who don't have day-to-day executive responsibilities in the company.
Yeah.
They only come maybe about 4 times, 5 times, depending on the special assignments the company gives to them. So if you want to evaluate those people, the first thing is, what is their commitment to this company? What is their enthusiasm to this company? What is are they in this company because of what is in it for me, or because of the value that they want to add? Non-executive directors are expected to come to the board, with independence and objectivity, to add value, to create value to the board, and to open a vista of opportunities for the board. So you check, are they really committed, to this responsibility? Are they opening up opportunities for the company? Are they adding, value to the company, or they are only interested in sitting allowances? You look at their attendance at meetings, you look at their attendance at committee meetings where they belong, you look at how prepared they are when they are coming to meetings, you look at how informed they are, you look at how knowledgeable they are, you look at their experience, you look at their contributions to strategic issues on the board, you look at how they commit to deliberations of the board, the quality of their contributions at the board. You look at the way they play in board dynamics. Then talking about what do you do with the result of board evaluation, because this happens actually to be a problem, to be an area where many organizations also are missing it. After spending so much on board evaluation, they jettison the results of the evaluation. Anyway, it's important that you have to call the board meeting together. You have to call the board of directors together, reveal to them the results of this board evaluation, because it's like you have conducted the SWOT analysis. You have conducted the strengths, the weaknesses of the board members. Show the ones that have strengths and capitalize on that. Show the ones that have weaknesses and try as much as possible to bridge that gap, because it could be that you may need to introduce training. It could be that you need to introduce knowledge, do you understand, to bridge the knowledge gap for them. So you, as much as possible, make sure that it is disclosed to board members. And the chairman also must be ready to call board members and discuss these things with them individually, privately. And to a very large extent, even the code doesn't say this, but I recommend it. If at the end of the day you found that a particular board member, a director is so weak and the training cannot even help him, then you can think about how he can excuse himself from the board.
Wonderful. Okay, we understand the fact that board evaluation will enhance good corporate governance. Indirectly, we have a good board. Now, but we still have some ineffective board. What are the reasons for some ineffective board? What are the reasons that could lead to ineffective board?
There are so many reasons. Right from the beginning, ab initio, when you are bringing them in, you could have brought in error. You could have brought in very wrong people, wrong character. People who don't even have good antecedents. You bring them in on the board because you know them, because they are your cousins, because they are your classmates, and all that. So improper appointments will always lead to ineffective board, right? And then, Professor King of South Africa, when he was bringing the first code, King Go together, he says there are 3 enemies of board effectiveness: greed, sloth, and fear. So when you have board members that are extremely very unethical, that are extremely very fearful, extremely very greedy, do you understand, the board is going to be ineffective. Then if you also have board members who don't have knowledge, who are limited in knowledge, that is where company secretary now comes in to make sure that there is a proper dissemination of information across board to all board members. Board deliberations cannot be higher than the information that the board members are accessible to. So if there is access to information, board members can be effective, because good information, quality deliberations, quality decisions. Do you understand? So lack of information on time, lack of quality information could also make them ineffective. Then you have board members who are engaged in cross directorships, and they have too many boards on which they are sitting, right? They add this to their resume.
This will be detected during board evaluation.
Yes, it will be detected.
Okay.
It will, because we are going to ask questions on that.
Okay.
On how many boards are you sitting? If you are not telling us directly, your fellow directors could say so. Because this is going to hamper your attendance at board meetings, right? Nigerian, the way we are at times, we think that the more membership of boards that we have, the richer our resume. Whether we are effective or we are not effective, it doesn't even matter. Whether we carry, the papers of XYZ to the meeting of ABC, do you understand? We now get to ABC, we now realize that, we have brought wrong meeting papers or not, it doesn't matter to us. Just put me there. Do you understand? Many want to be directors on so many boards at the same time. So, and there's this insufficient time, insufficient knowledge, and all that make board ineffective.
Now, talking about effectiveness and ineffectiveness, should government institutions, ministries, departments, and agencies, should their board be evaluated, and if so, why?
Why? Good governance has cut across board. In fact, it has gone to home. We now have home governance. We have family governance. Do you understand? We have TV station governance. There's governance everywhere.
Okay.
There's good governance. So anywhere that you have human beings, anywhere that you have stakeholders, anywhere that you have principal, you have agents, anywhere that you have ownership, you have managers, do you understand? Then the governing board should be evaluated. And it should be evaluated for us to know what are the challenges this board are facing. You see, importantly, most board members shy away from this evaluation because they think that we want to expose them. But it's not that. It's just that we want to look at you, want to examine you, we want to even help you. We want to, create areas of improvement for you. We want to find out what are your challenges, what are you facing on the board, what is it that we need to do in order to improve your contributions at the board. We want to find out, are you facing any challenges, are you facing any problems that probably the company actually could wade into and help, right? And we also want to find out, are there strengths on the board that we can capitalize upon? You understand, especially in these FUCA times. You see, we are in the era called FUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
Yes.
This is the time. It's a crisis time. So we cannot afford to have a lame duck board members. We need to see that these board members that are here are effective and that they are actually contributing to the success of the organization. Because by and large, there is no company that can escape sustainability anyway. What is it in the future you are aiming at the end of the day? There is no board there is no company that would go into the future with a weak board. So the boards of MDAs also should be evaluated. In fact, they should be evaluated more. Because they are the ones that are actually in charge of the public. They are the ones that are, now ICSAN has moved to what we call public governance now. Right. If you want any teaching, you want any materials on public governance and all that, I recommend ICSAN to you, Institute of Charter Secretaries and Administrators.
Okay. Talking about ICSAN,
Yeah.
I want you to answer these two questions in less than 30 seconds.
All right.
Now, does ICSAN carry out board evaluation for companies that are interested?
Absolutely.
The other aspect of it is that, does ICSAN have guidance materials to carry out board evaluation?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, this year, I believe that ICSAN has carried out board evaluations for flour mills, in Lagos, flour mills in the north, and few other companies too. I'm sure you know that sincerely they are the ones that are actually trained to do all these things, really. And they also have enough of materials that you can access at the secretariat. The secretariat here is at Alausa here, and you can come in there. You can actually call the registrar. You can call any member of staff. I'm sure the numbers will be there on the screen, and find out more about how ICSAN can help your company to do proper board evaluation. I don't think there's any other institute that can do board evaluation like ICSAN.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. David OLATUNJI. This is where we wrap it up. And thank you for being part of the show, Mr. David OLATUNJI, CEO, David OLATUNJI Leadership Academy. We'd like to thank our viewers, and I will say we wrap it up from this moment, and we'd like to invite you to join us next week, same station, same time. I remain Tunde Odeyemi. My producer has been Adegboye Galabiran, and the technical director is Abib Adejobi. See you next week. Bye for now.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.